Kurt Russell stands as one of Hollywood's most enduring figures, not because he chased immortality, but because he survived the machinery that often consumes it. His story is not merely a timeline of films or fame, but a long, uneven journey through childhood pressure, early stardom, identity loss, reinvention, and quiet resilience. From Disney's golden-era child actor to rugged anti-heroes like Snake Plissken, and later to grounded performances in films such as Tombstone, Russell's career reflects transformation rather than repetition. What makes his legacy compelling is not just what he achieved on screen, but what he endured off it. The tension between expectation and authenticity shaped nearly every phase of his life. Born into a family already tied to performance and discipline, he entered acting before he could fully understand childhood itself. Fame arrived early, but clarity arrived late and often painfully. Yet through career downturns, lost dreams, and shifting Hollywood tides, Russell did not disappear. He adapted, he rebuilt, he evolved from a polished studio product into an actor defined by grit, restraint, and emotional intelligence. His journey is less about celebrity and more about continuity, how a person stays intact while everything around them changes shape. This is the story of a man who learned that strength is not loud, identity is not fixed, and survival in Hollywood is rarely about brilliance alone, but about endurance. Childhood roots between discipline and dreams. Kurt Russell was born on March 17, 1951, in Springfield, Massachusetts, into a household where ambition and artistry coexisted with constant motion. His father, Bing Russell, was a former baseball player turned actor, carrying both athletic discipline and a working understanding of Hollywood's unpredictability. His mother, Louise Julia Russell, brought artistic warmth and balance, grounding the family amid the instability of entertainment life. As the only son among three sisters, Kurt grew up in an environment where structure and expectation were ever present. Conversations often revolved around scripts, auditions, and travel schedules rather than traditional childhood rhythms. Stability was not a guarantee, it was something the family continuously chased. When they relocated to California during his early years, the shift marked not just a change in geography, but a transformation in destiny. In Thousand Oaks, childhood became intertwined with performance. While other children experienced long stretches of unstructured play, Russell was introduced early to studio lights, rehearsals, and the discipline of professional acting. His father's philosophy was simple but strict: show up on time, commit fully, and never complain. Even as a child, he absorbed the duality of his world, one part structured discipline, the other part creative uncertainty. This environment shaped him deeply. It taught him endurance before emotional comprehension and responsibility before personal freedom. The foundation of his later career was not fame, but adaptation learned too early in life. Disney years, The Golden Image and The Silent Wait. Kurt Russell's entry into Hollywood came through Walt Disney Studios, a defining force in shaping his early identity. By the early 1960s, he was under contract with Disney, appearing in family films that projected innocence, charm, and reliability. Productions like The Computer Wore Tennis Shoes positioned him as a clean-cut American youth, a symbol of optimism crafted for mass appeal. Yet behind the polished image, the experience was more complex. Fame arrived before self-awareness fully formed. He worked long hours under controlled conditions, often surrounded by expectations that left little room for personal exploration. The studio system valued consistency, and Russell became adept at delivering it. While audiences saw a rising star, he often experienced fragmentation. The boundary between Kurt Russell, the child, and Kurt Russell, the performer, blurred early. Even as applause grew louder, an internal sense of distance developed. Success did not necessarily translate into belonging. Walt Disney's passing in 1966 marked a subtle turning point in the studio system that had shaped him. The structure that once defined his path began to loosen, leaving young actors like Russell in transition between eras of filmmaking. The innocence of Disney's golden phase gave way to a more uncertain Hollywood landscape, For Russell, these years created a paradox: public recognition paired with private disconnection. He was widely seen, but not fully formed. This tension would follow him into adulthood, shaping how he approached every role thereafter. Baseball and lost the dream that once defined him. While acting provided visibility, baseball provided identity. For Kurt Russell, baseball was not an alternative career. It was a personal language of control, clarity, and escape. Unlike acting, which was shaped by external direction, baseball offered direct feedback. Effort met result, action met consequence. He progressed into the California Angels minor league system, where he experienced the structure and intensity of professional sports. The field became a place of grounding, where repetition built confidence and physical discipline replaced emotional uncertainty. In baseball, he was not a character, he was himself. That sense of stability ended abruptly with a shoulder injury that damaged his rotator cuff. The injury was not just physical, it was symbolic. In a single moment, the future he had quietly invested in collapsed. There was no dramatic ending, only a quiet realization that the path had closed. The aftermath was disorienting. Baseball had been the one space where identity felt self-defined rather than assigned. Losing it created a void that acting had never fully filled. He was left with questions about direction, purpose, and permanence. Yet this loss also became formative. It forced a return to acting not as inheritance, but as necessity. The dream that ended in silence became the foundation for resilience that would define his later career. In losing baseball, he began to understand endurance in a deeper, more personal way. Military service and discipline building structure in uncertainty. In 1969, Kurt Russell joined the California Air National Guard, a decision that reflected both discipline and search for grounding. At a time when Hollywood offered instability and identity confusion, military service provided structure, hierarchy, and clarity of expectation. The experience reinforced values that had been present since childhood, but never fully tested in isolation. Punctuality, responsibility, and emotional restraint were not abstract ideas, they were daily requirements. The environment demanded presence without performance, effort without recognition. For Russell, this period was less about escape and more about recalibration. It allowed him to step outside the constant visibility of acting and experience anonymity. In that anonymity, he found perspective. He learned that consistency matters more than applause, and that discipline survives even when motivation fades. Military life also reinforced a quiet resilience. There was no audience, no editing, no retake, only execution. That clarity contrasted sharply with Hollywood's unpredictability. It gave him a foundation that later helped him navigate periods of professional decline. When he eventually returned fully to acting, he carried with him a steadier internal framework. The Air National Guard did not redefine his career, but it reinforced a principle that would remain central throughout his life. Stability is built, not granted. Career decline and identity struggle. Hollywood's silent period, the early 1970s, marked one of the most uncertain phases of Kurt Russell's career. Transitioning from child actor to adult performer is notoriously difficult in Hollywood, and Russell was no exception. The roles that once came easily began to diminish, and casting directors struggled to place him in a rapidly changing industry. Hollywood itself was evolving. The polished optimism of earlier decades was giving way to grittier storytelling and more complex protagonists. Russell, still associated with youthful Disney imagery, found himself caught between eras too familiar to be reinvented, too changed to remain unchanged. Opportunities became sporadic. Television appearances and smaller roles replaced the steady visibility he once had. This period was not marked by failure in a dramatic sense, but by gradual fading. For an actor, invisibility can be more challenging than rejection. During this time, he experienced uncertainty about direction and identity. The question was no longer whether he could act, but whether he could redefine how he was seen. Reinvention required patience, and patience required endurance. Rather than withdraw, he continued working. That persistence became its own form of preparation. While Hollywood overlooked him, he was quietly building the foundation for a later transformation, one that would require both timing and readiness. Elvis and Reinvention, the role that changed everything in 1979, director John Carpenter cast Kurt Russell as Elvis Presley in the television film Elvis. At first, the choice seemed unconventional. Russell was not yet widely recognized as a dramatic powerhouse, and the role required both emotional depth and cultural sensitivity. The performance, however, became a turning point. Rather than imitating Elvis, Russell embodied him, capturing not only the public persona, but the private weight of fame. He portrayed vulnerability beneath charisma, exhaustion beneath spectacle. The role earned critical recognition and an Emmy nomination, but more importantly, it shifted perception. Hollywood began to see him not as a former child star, but as a mature actor capable of complexity and restraint. This transformation was not sudden. It was the result of years of accumulated experience, loss, discipline, and persistence converging at the right moment. The Elvis role did not create his reinvention, it revealed it. From that point forward, Russell's career trajectory changed. He was no longer defined by his past image, but by his ability to adapt. Reinvention, once uncertain, became his defining strength. Anti-hero icon, Snake Plissken and cinematic legacy, the 1981 release of Escape from New York, solidified Kurt Russell's place in cinematic history. As Snake Plissken, he introduced a new kind of action protagonist, minimalist, detached, and emotionally controlled. The character was not a traditional hero, but an anti-authority figure shaped by survival rather than idealism. This role marked a decisive shift in Russell's career. It aligned perfectly with the evolving tone of 1980s cinema, where complexity replaced simplicity and moral ambiguity became central. Snake Plissken was not polished or heroic in the traditional sense, but he was compelling in his restraint. The performance resonated because it reflected accumulation, years of professional uncertainty distilled into controlled intensity. Russell's stillness on screen carried weight precisely because it was earned off screen. From this point, he became associated with rugged, grounded characters who operated under pressure without theatrics. His performances in films like Big Trouble in Little China and later Tombstone continued this evolution. Snake Plissken did not just define a role, it redefined an actor. It marked the moment Kurt Russell transitioned from surviving Hollywood to shaping it. Legacy and reflection, a life built through endurance. Kurt Russell's later career reflects continuity rather than reinvention. His work in films such as Tombstone and collaborations with longtime partner Goldie Hawn reveal a steady presence grounded in experience rather than ambition alone. He became an actor defined not by transformation, but by consistency. Beyond film, his life reflects long-term stability built through relationships, personal discipline, and selective engagement with Hollywood. He did not pursue constant visibility. Instead, he chose roles that aligned with his pace and values. His legacy is not defined solely by iconic performances, but by longevity. Few actors navigate child stardom, career decline, reinvention, and sustained relevance across decades. Russell did so without abandoning the core traits that shaped him early in life: discipline, restraint, and adaptability. What remains most significant is not fame itself, but endurance through shifting identity. His career demonstrates that survival in Hollywood is not about avoiding change, but about absorbing it without losing continuity. Kurt Russell's journey is ultimately a study in persistence, how a person evolves without breaking, and how meaning is built not from singular moments, but from sustained presence across time. Outro, the quiet architect of his OWN legacy, Kurt Russell's life and career, form a portrait of steady transformation rather than sudden ascent. From early childhood under studio lights to his emergence as one of Hollywood's most respected and versatile actors, his journey reflects the complexity of sustaining identity in an industry built on reinvention. he did not remain unchanged, nor did he abandon who he was. Instead, he learned how to carry the past without being defined by it. His story is shaped by transitions between childhood and adulthood, fame and obscurity, loss and rediscovery. What distinguishes him is not just talent, but endurance. Across decades of shifting cinematic trends, he remained present, adaptable, and grounded. His performances carry the imprint of lived experience, giving them depth beyond scripted dialogue. Ultimately, Kurt Russell's legacy is not a single role or era, but the accumulation of all phases of his life, each contributing to a larger narrative of resilience. He stands as an example of how longevity in Hollywood is not accidental, but constructed through patience, discipline, and quiet strength.